Welcome, everybody, to the Model Mindset. I'm Brian. We got my boy, John. We are extremely fortunate to have an amazing guest today. And just to kind of give some background real quick, where I met our fantastic guest today is I really enjoyed my buddy Kevin's artwork that he had done on his tattoo, on his sleeve. And fuck me. Start over. I fucked that all up. Shit, man. It was going good, and then I got too fucking nervous.
You guys have to have a
okay.
We're totally going to do that. We'll mention that afterwards, yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to start fucking...
Start fresh, dude. Start fresh.
All right. And Tim, you can swear if you want.
No, I don't.
By the way.
Yeah, you're all good, by the way.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Model Mindset. This is episode 7. Today, John, we are very lucky and fortunate to have one of my close friends, I'll say. And I was very fortunate to meet our guest, I want to say in 2018, from my buddy Kevin. And I really was captured by the artwork done on his sleeve. And so I asked where he got it done. He told me Tim Brewer. I had reached out to Tim. I told him about my idea for a sleeve, which was basically a family tree, and my arm would be kind of the bark. And Tim said, that is a terrible idea. How about we make it a scene, and we'll have it be like your arm will kind of go into different scenes. And I said, Tim, that is a great idea. And what really struck me about Tim is not only his creativity, but I was first really floored by how welcoming your shop was. And this is the original shop. And typically, and John, you could speak to this as well because you got a bunch of tattoos. Any tattoo shop that I've been in, very dark, not welcoming, kind of intimidating, to be quite honest with you.
For sure, yeah.
Tim's shop, complete opposite. Very welcoming. You feel the positive energy right away as soon as you walk in. And Tim, I'll be honest with you, your new shop is even more welcoming, which is crazy too.
Thank you.
You know,
we're getting a lot of positive
honestly,
feedback from a lot of people.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's the thing of the art too. I mean, it's really unique, and I really appreciate it and how welcoming it is. And Tim, real quick, I just want to say that not only is your tattooing ability insane and off the charts, but you're also incredibly gifted musically. I'll keep going, and you have this fearlessness about you with product ideas that you do not let fear stop you, which is actually very admirable as well.
Thank you.
But as I was getting my very first tattoo from you, you're comfortable in your own skin. And what I mean by that is you are comfortable being vulnerable. You're able to talk about your life experiences, both in the past and now, and who you are is what everybody sees. And what in turn, it allowed me to be comfortable in my skin and honestly share my past traumas with you. So I genuinely appreciate that. And when I said to you, you are a friend, I truly mean that. So without further ado, Tim Brewer, welcome to the Model Mindset.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like instantly comfortable talking to you about stuff, and in fact, it was like mellifluously, just kind of like the conversation just never ceased to stop in a good way. Yeah, it was one thing after the other of talking about not only just the art but life in general, trials and tribulations and stuff like that. So I feel fortunate that I get to have clients like yourself and friends like yourself.
Thank you.
That come in and share stuff like that, because it really does. At one point I was considering leaving the art world to become a psychotherapist and go back to school. And and I just decided, well, you kind of have to maybe dress a certain way, and you can't listen to music when you're a therapist. Screw it. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
I'll be therapized and give therapy and do artwork and listen to music and wear ripped jeans. So
there you go, man.
You know, it's funny too. I mean, it's funny too you say that, but like just sitting in your chair and just having our organic conversations, I can tell the positive energy that you give off and you impact others' lives. I mean, I can tell just by your nature that there's an authenticity and you impact people's lives, whether or not you truly know that. I think you may know that because you may have some good stories. But I mean, you definitely are a positive influence on the people that not only you tattoo, but I think that you just speak with in general.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, sometimes I do come home from work and my wife is a writer and editor, and, you know, she works in public health. So, you know, I'll come home from work and say, so how was work today? What did you do? And she's like, oh, I rewrote this whole thing for the CDC about the COVID breakout and all this stuff. And, you know, and I'm like, what did you do today? I did a butterfly, you know. I did a butterfly. Nothing against
pretty
butterflies,
sweet though, yeah.
But you know, the breadth of you know, the juxtaposition of that to me sometimes, you know, makes me feel like, am I doing something for the community or people? But, you know, she reassures me that, you know, the work that I do is not only special because I am helping people, you know, kind of a lot of times commemorate like people you know, just get them through some tough times maybe, or just kind of putting a bumper sticker on your body, which makes you feel better, right? It's just kind of like, that makes you like, you know, you look better, you feel better. So, so I do kind of say it in jest, you know, it's like, I do think that I'm doing some important work, maybe not as important as writing for the CDC, but
you definitely do.
Each is their own, man. You know, and we talked about it. We have a good friend who owns a barbershop, Josh, Skidco Barbershop, and we talked about how like sitting in a barber's chair, you know, is like going to like a 30-minute therapy session. Like you sit down with your barber and you talk to them, and you have hairdressers or people get your nails done, and especially now tattoos. In your case, like it's like a therapy session. And for you, it's unique because a lot of your clients are probably sitting there for an extended amount of time too.
Right.
So like you guys are going to have some pretty cool conversations in that time frame. So, you know, there's a lot that probably goes into those 2 hours that someone's sitting, that when they leave, they're really excited about a new tattoo, but they're also going to remember that entire time frame they were with you because of the conversations you guys had.
Yeah. I agree, man. It's quite a gift to be able to not only do that for a living, but to get to know people, you know, and people are sitting there, they're quite vulnerable. You know, it's like, you can't go anywhere. You can't just up and walk out. Right?
It's true.
But you're going to have with you know, half a dragon on you or something. But so it is, you're kind of like locked in there. And, you know, a lot of times I like to read the person a little bit. You know, I try to read everyone, and some people don't like to talk or open up, and I don't push that. I don't like to push that, you know, so, but I do tend to share a lot about myself, about my past, about my future, about, you know, or the projected future. And just, you know, I do share a lot about like just life stuff. And in doing so, I feel like sometimes it disarms somebody's, you know, the armor comes off a little bit, especially being stereotypically like a tattoo artist, I guess, would be like this kind of like, you know, I'm a big dude. You know,
tough exterior, everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So to have someone like that maybe talk about their feelings or their whatever, it kind of disarms people a little bit, I think, you know. And I also feel like, you know, when you look like someone else, right, you're not coming in wearing a suit and being like, well, you know, you're kind of like, you're on someone's level, like, hey, I like you know, Iron Maiden too, and I like tattoos, and I like cool cars, right? You're finding this common bond in other ways, and then it kind of like makes that person feel a little more comfortable about like kind of opening up about other things, about maybe what's going on inside them, you know, for the struggles that they have. So
definitely allows them to let their guard down. And Tim, before we get into, you know, the juice, if you will, of really the podcast episode, I really want to talk about where did your creativity stem from? You know, because honestly, you have quite the eye for just being creative.
Yeah. Well, when I was in prison, I had to get creative. No, I'm kidding. I pretty much from a young age, I've always been into art in some way or another, music or drawing or whatever. You know, I just remember being a kid and drawing things. The cool thing was I remember drawing. I was in Cape Cod one time with my family, and I was sitting there drawing, and I noticed my dad was kind of sitting there and watching me. And after I was done with this drawing, I was like, "Hey, check this out." And my dad's like, "That's great." And he's like, "Hey, check this out." He drew me drawing, and I was like,
really?
I was blown away. I had no idea he could even draw, you know? So it was,
so he could draw too?
Yeah. He's got both sides of the brain. He's an artist, but he's also got that architecture's like kind of like, you know, mind where he can like design things and stuff like that. So I think that's where I get that part of my you know, I've always just been interested in that stuff, and it's always been encouraged by my parents and stuff. So that's been really cool. And yeah, I just have a curiosity. I've always had a curiosity for like, just, you know, high regard for art and culture and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't know if I answered your question or not. Sorry.
No, you totally did, man. Yeah.
And you mentioned before we hit record here that you're in a band too. So like musically, like I know like art and music, you know, and you know those things a lot of times will go hand in hand with a lot of people. So like was it the same thing, like that curiosity that you were talking about, that kind of just ventured out into a broader spectrum rather than just like the artwork? I mean, music is art, but you know what I mean, like in a broader sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm fortunate and unfortunate to be the youngest of 6. So fortunate in the way that I was very influenced. They were very influential to me. Like I have 4 older sisters and an older brother. They were all into music, and they were in that era of like, it's when like Aerosmith and Zeppelin and stuff like that were like just being like, you know, like the main thing. So they all had albums out all the time, and they basically like, I would just listen through the door, or I'd be like, you know, when they would go, I would steal their albums and put them on and things like that. And then I think before I was actually born, my dad bought a guitar and left it in the house, just kind of see what would happen. And my sisters just gravitated towards it. So they all started playing guitar. And then my brother started playing it. And like when I grew up, there were just guitars around. So I just couldn't help but grab one, you know, and I, you know, I would just sit in my room and just play for hours and try and just figure things out, you know, like hit a chord and be like, that sounds like that Zeppelin song. And then I'd be like, oh my God, you know, just kind of noodling around, you know. So that became a passion of mine that, you know, never stopped. And then I got into drums and playing drums and stuff like that, and just wanted to really kind of like cover all the bases in that. And in various music projects I've been in, I've had bands, you know, like bands that we wrote original music, and then I've been in like cover bands and stuff like that. So cool. It's just been a really fun thing that I always have and always will have a part of my life, you know.
Man, that's fearlessness right there, though. Because I mean, I got a little nervous just thinking about, damn, like you got to go up on a stage and, you know, what if you hit a bad note or anything? But it's like, again, Tim, I'm struck by your fearlessness. You're like, fuck it, I'll try it. You know, why not? What's the worst going to happen? I'm not going to die.
Right,
you know
right.
What I mean?
Well, I think that the fearlessness, I mean, there is fear, definitely. You know, I don't want to, when I, have gone on stage before, you're afraid, like there's a lot of times where you're like, oh man, what if I mess up? Right? What if I mess up? I just want to revert back to like the good parts of having 5 older siblings was the music and the art. The bad part was they put me in the freezer and threw me outside in my underwear in the snow and stuff like that.
It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act.
And they did this trick where they would put the, when I was a baby, they would put the applesauce in the front of the spoon, but then they would put something really disgusting on the back of the spoon and watch my face just
God.
Right. So it wasn't all, green pastures with having older siblings. But anyway, I digress. But so sorry, I lost my place.
No, you're good. We were talking about the fearlessness. You're talking about
fearlessness,
like getting on stage. That's still that fear, but what you're not letting it affect you from taking action. You're still taking action. You're still going out.
Yeah, fear is one of those things that I don't know how I did this or how I don't know where I got this from, but I realized at a young age that fear was always going to be in my life in some way. Right. So fear is an essential part, I think, of life. It is, those stickers, those no fear stickers they used to have with the guy with the wristband. It's like, good luck with that life. No fear. I think what I learned at a young age was to try to take fear and flip it on its side and kind of like use it to my advantage. So I think what I did was I would project into the future, and I would say, okay, if I'm going to be afraid of something, I pictured my life 5 or 10 or 15 years down the road or 20 years down the road with not doing the thing. How would I feel about myself? What would my life look like if I never tried this? Right? If I don't do this, am I going to really regret this? And am I going to live this kind of, mundane life and just always regret not doing it? So what I did was I took fear and I basically said, okay, like I'm really afraid to do this thing, but how am I going to feel like later on when I'm like, dude, you did not, you never took a chance.
You didn't fall through.
Yeah. So I focused that on the fear. And one of the things that I learned, and this is just something that this may not be fact, but I learned this thing about how the brain works. And it's really interesting to me to think about the brain as kind of like a car battery. Okay. So it's like you're constantly answering yes or no questions. Okay. The brain and the mind are two different things, right? So the mind is what's kind of driving the brain. The mind is like, a bigger, broader, like, thing that's kind of like not a tangible thing, It's kind of like the person that's in the car, right? The car is the thing, but you're driving it. You know what I mean? Like the brain is, as complex as it is, in its simplest form is answering, all it's really doing is answering yes or no questions constantly, right? So everything that you present to yourself is either a left or a right, or a 1 or a 0, or a black or a white, or you know what I mean? Like they're oppositions to each other. The cool thing that I learned about the brain is that no matter what, it will always go to positive first, just like a battery. So whatever you're linking positive to, it's going to go to that. Now, an example that I can use is that let's say somebody's trying to get in shape. I mean, I know this is a big part of what you guys do, right? This is like, connecting the physical body and the mental, right? So like, let's say someone wants to get in shape and they think about, going to the gym or going for a run or anything like that. right? And then it's cold outside, and they're like, I'm gonna have to get in my car and go to the gym, and like they start thinking about the negative side of it, right? And then they look over and their dog's sitting next to the fireplace, and you know, they have a box of Triscuits or something sitting there, and they're like, you know, and Netflix is there. I'm like, oh shit, I could do that, or I could go to the gym. I'm like, serious? like no, I'm not going to the gym. You know, because that's tough. That's hard, right? So I think a lot of people they're connecting negativity to it because it's hard. It is hard to go to the gym. It's hard to stay in shape. It's not. If you could just go once and be done with it, it would be great. But you got to keep going every day, right? Or every other day.
Yeah.
And so now take that same person and same scenario, dogs there, all that, you know, same thing. They're in this exact same scenario. The only difference is they're getting married in 2 months, and they think about what they're going to look like in their wedding pictures. Okay. And to them, that's very important that they are like, that they look good in these pictures, and their special day that they're going to have for the rest of their life. It's going to be like documented, whatever. And to them, that's very important that they look good. Right. Now, all of a sudden, the pain goes to that, right? The pain goes, like, if I sit around and I don't get in shape and I don't do that, I'm going to really regret that. And like, now all of a sudden the brain ends up just doing what it's designed to do, which is go to positive first. So now, bang, you're linking positive to the gym and negative to staying home. And it's like, it's pretty cool. And, you know, that's why shows like, you know, intervention are really, you know, they kind of show that in its whole form, right? Like you have someone who's addicted to alcohol, or a person that's addicted to drugs, and they're, you know, they don't have quite the consequence, that they're getting away with it time after time, and they're linking pleasure to the drug still, even though they, you know, they probably sit at home and be like, I need to quit this. I want to quit this. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
You hear most of them say that.
Right. And they're struggling with that. And then the thought of going to a rehab or something like that is so painful. Like, I'm not going to have this, and I'm going to have to do all this hard work, and it's probably not going to work anyway. And, you know, all this stuff. And then, so they go back to their old ways. But now factor in, you get this group of people, right? Your core group of people that are there for you. Maybe some of them are financially, you know, they're letting you stay at their house, and they're giving you money for your alcohol or drugs or whatever. And they're the people that you know, and that they're your companions, right? And then all of a sudden they all get together and say, we're not going to be here for you anymore. The bottom is going to drop out. You can't contact us. If you continue to do this, if you want to choose that over us, that's the consequence, right? And now all of a sudden they're linking pain to this drug or alcohol. And if it's enough pain, they make the choice now you start to look at this thing as this ugly thing, right? This ugly, nasty thing. You knew it was nasty before, but now you really see how much it's tearing your life apart. And all you have to do is say yes to go to this rehab, and all these people will still be there for you, right? Brain just does what it's designed to do. It's go to positive first. And
you know, that's unique. You know, that's unique, Tim, because now that, like, I think that's a unique perspective, because I actually haven't thought about that way. But you'll see, like, when people will use this, when people go on, say, diets or something, they normally have either some sort of ambition. So they have to be linking some sort of positive message with, hey, this diet is going to get me looking much better. I'm going to be healthier. So they have a lot of positivity. Right. The only thing about diets that John and I have talked about before is they tend to be temporary rather than looking at it as a lifestyle change. It's almost like, again, their brain will revert to something else as positive, where it be, you know, spending time with their significant other, watching Netflix, which is, hey, don't get me wrong, it's great. It's bonding time. But it could be time, again, away from the gym if you wanted to get healthy or something.
Right.
So that's a unique perspective. I appreciate that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's nothing stopping anyone from doing both, right? You can bring Netflix to the gym and do both.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
So there are ways, like, when you ask yourself, I think when you ask yourself the right questions, like, well, how can I make this more fun? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't do that. Like, you go for a walk or whatever. Like, if you ask yourself that question, you will get that's the other thing about the brain that I learned, is that no matter what, it's designed to give you an answer. So whatever question you ask, you will get an answer, even if it's not true, even if it's based on all your fears that you have ever had or what people have said about you or whatever. It's going to give you an answer no matter what. So if you ask bad questions, you will get bad answers. You know what I mean? And but if you look at it in a positive way, like, well, all right, I'm going to go on this run. I don't really want to go, but I know I should and I have to, or whatever. Then, all right, well, if I'm going to do it, how can I make it better? Maybe I can listen to some great, awesome music or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're hitting the spot real quick, because the GOAT, Tony Robbins, talks about how, so for example, we'll say running.
Yeah.
If you, John, because I know you're not really, you don't like to run, it's like one of the things you hate to do.
No.
But what Tony Robbins does, so John, for example, what would you scale your enjoyment of running from a scale of 1 to 10?
Like a 4.
A 4. Okay. So how could we get from you liking it as a 4 to say maybe a 6? Could you listen to a podcast? Could you have get some new shoes or something like that? Would you say you're at a 6?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So can we get maybe to a 6 or maybe like a 7 or 8? Do you want to run outside, or would you prefer to run on a treadmill?
Outside.
So we're talking about maybe a nice sunny day, maybe a little cool, but we went from a 4 to you're at an 8 now. So you're going to be listening to your favorite podcast. You're going to be it's going to be sunny out, so you can, take in that vitamin C. So that's what kind of Tony Robbins is talking about. And Tim, to your point, like you're creating a positive environment to where you can kind of dictate your level of enjoyment.
Yeah. It's almost like a level of association, like what you're associating your pleasure centers with that hobby or whatever it may be. That's the goal. You're trying to create like a positive reinforcement of doing that one thing, right? Yeah. So Tim, have you always now? So it seems like you're a pretty grounded guy now, that you have a good understanding of not only yourself but how your mind actually works and what you like to consume, take in, and give out, right? Have you always been that way? Is that something you developed? Kind of take us back now a little bit. What brought you to this point? How have you become so grounded and have such a good understanding in yourself and in your mindset here?
It's a great question. I haven't always been this grounded. In fact, I would say when I was young, I was the opposite. I was constantly afraid of everything. Just like, before I had these epiphanal moments when I was a little bit older, I was living in a state of fear a lot. Like I said, fear is a great thing and it's essential, but if you use fear to your advantage, it's one thing. If you live in fear, that's a whole different thing, right? And I think a lot of people do live in fear. The what ifs, right? So when I was younger, I was kind of like all over the place and scattered and trying to find myself. And I had some traumas happen to me when I was younger that really projected me into this like bad place. And because of that, I kind of blocked them away for a while. The mind is very powerful like that. It will kind of take care of you. It will take these traumas and often will set them in a file, so to speak. right? Until you're ready. You know, you don't think you're ready, but whatever the source is like, yeah, you're ready now. You know, it kind of releases that. And in doing so, kind of puts your life into a dumpster fire, like shitstorm. You know what I mean? And because of that, I was forced to make some really major decisions, you know? And one of them was to get help, right? So that's really when things started to change for me. When I started to get frustrated to the point where it was like, okay, I'm either going to like check out. I'm like, you know, I'm out of here. I'm going to check out of this world, or I need to get busy living and really like get some help. And I think when I started to get help, when I started to like, you know, dive into the self-help kind of stuff and seek out a therapist. And my therapist happened to be also a shamanic healer. So shamanism is something that I, at the time, had never heard about. I didn't even know what that word was. You know, so I was able to kind of like work with her and really work through a lot of stuff. In doing so, kind of slowly started to gain confidence and build myself that way. So, yeah.
And Tim, did you recognize when that trauma had taken place? Did you know that something wasn't right, or did you realize later on in life when you were having your struggles that it stemmed from what had transpired in your childhood?
That's a really good question. I didn't know. And in fact, when I was going through the stuff, that was, I knew then it was very, you know, traumatizing and stuff like that. But I somehow, you know, the mind will often put it away for you so you can actually live. You can actually like function, albeit, you know, just dysfunctionally function, I guess. But so that was my, you know, when I got into junior high school, that was the kind of the start of me living a life with these traumas, but not remembering them and not really knowing why I was so scared all the time or acting a certain way, you know, or trying to be perfect, right? Like there's a part of, you know, traumas that will create obsessions in you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, rejections create obsessions. So you tend to like, that's kind of a different thing, but like I was obsessed over like trying to be perfect, and like I couldn't figure out why I was so sad. I was very, very sad from my teens into my, you know, mid-20s. Very, very sad time in my life.
Oh. And so that stemmed from the abuse that took place in your childhood. Like when you got help, you uncovered and peeled back those layers that the sadness was from what had transpired. And Tim, I don't mean to be just, do you mind just kind of telling the audience what happened so that everyone kind of understands? Because I think with this podcast, you will be able to help a lot of people that if this has happened to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was sexually abused by someone that was in my neighborhood, and someone I at one point, you know, looked up to, trusted, you know, but then slowly realized that I was being not only mentally abused but physically abused, and then turned into sexual abuse. And that went on for, you know, a little bit, a couple of years on and off. So that was what really hammered it home to me that I was, remembering that when I was about 25, about 25, 26, the veil was lifted, so to speak. So someone I know mentioned this person's name, and they were inquiring about, like, oh, I saw this person, and what do you think of that person? And it all came back. Everything.
So
everything just flooded. The veil was lifted, and in real time, I was talking to this person and revealing to them and myself all of the things that had happened throughout those years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So I remember I was supposed to go on a date that night, and I had to call this lady and say, I don't think I can make it.
Yeah. What did that do to you? Yeah. Sorry, John. I mean,
no, go ahead, man. I was just going to say, so you said you're about 25, 26. So in that time from when it occurred until that age, that's kind of what you were talking about, where your mind kind of just stashes it away. Like that's what you were doing in that time frame. You were just stashing it so you were able to dysfunctionally function,
Correct.
Like you said.
Yeah. So that,
okay.
I learned that the brain will oftentimes take these traumas and put them aside. And, so when traumas happen when you're younger, there's a piece of you, of your psyche, right? There's this piece of you that knows that you in this state, at this age, are not capable of protecting it. So it will take off as well. So the memories get locked away, but there's also this piece of you that says, I'm in danger. You are not capable of taking care of me right now. So I am out of here. So that piece leaves you. Okay. And then what happens is, this is kind of like, I don't know if you ever heard of IFS, but internal family systems, it stands for. And basically it's like when these traumas happen when you're younger, that piece of you, picture it like this. Picture it's like a classroom full of kids, okay? And the teacher says, okay, I'm going to go to the principal. I have to go talk to the principal for about 15 minutes. I want you guys to just sit and do your work, okay? I'm going to be back in 15 minutes. And the door shuts, and what happens? Chaos, right?
Everybody
gets going nuts.
Exactly.
You got the bully in the corner that's so psyched that the teacher's left. Like, oh my God, I'm so going to hit this dude in the head. Right? And now the kid that's getting picked on is shitting their pants that the teacher left. Okay? And then you got the gossipers in the corner, and then you got the kid up front that's like, she told me to do my work, or he told me to do my work, so I'm going to do my work. And the goody two shoes and everything right in between, right? You've got all these different personalities in this classroom, and that door is shut and they all come out. Okay. So like when that piece of you leaves as a kid, there is this classroom full of voices in your head that have been running the show all these years. Okay. And one of them is calling you, do it, you wimp, do it. And the other one's going, don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself, right? It's literally this classroom full of voices that have been running this show all these years, okay? And they're all, the crazy thing is they're all trying to help you, all right? They're all, the kid that's calling you a wimp in your head is telling you that because he's trying to get you to get out of your own way. The one that's telling you to not do it because you might get hurt is trying to protect you from being hurt, right? So, and then everything in between, right? So when you decide, after years and years of therapy and stuff like that, I learned about this IFS, and what it is you come back into the room. You are the teacher, right?
Oh. So you're able to control the voices.
Yeah. Well, you have conversations with these voices, right? So now you come in and the teacher, and they're like, who the fuck is this? Like, where the fuck have you been? You said,
where have you been? Yeah.
15 minutes, dude. It's been like 40 years. We've been running this show, man, and so at any point, if you get quiet, right, if you listen to the voices, right, there's chatter, like your brain is just going like nonstop, just talking to itself and constantly. So if you get quiet, there's always one voice at any given time that's a little bit louder than the other ones. Okay. And that's the one that wants to be heard. And so what you can do, I like picturing it like a classroom, right? So now
That's an amazing analogy, by the way. Totally, like, it's perfect.
Thank you. So I like to picture it as like this classroom, right? And then I come in and I'm like, all right, obviously, this douche over here wants to be heard because he's the loudest one. So let's go in the hallway and talk, right? So now you take that voice and you go in the hallway and you're like, what's up, man? Like, why did you say that to him? Why did you hit him in the back of the head with a fucking eraser or whatever it was? You know what I mean? Why, and you have these conversations, part of it is thanking them, right? You can't just come in and say, like, I'm running the show now, right? And be like, oh, all of a sudden, like, this guy who hasn't been around for 40 years is coming in and telling us what to do. We've been running this place, right? So you got to kind of like thank all these voices for doing what they're supposed to do, which is protect you, right? They have different ways of doing it, but they're all trying to protect you. So you have to thank all of them individually, but then you also have to tell them that, hey, you do your thing now. I'll take care of this. I'm going to run the show. You guys can have fun. Just, do your thing. Do your thing. I'm not going anywhere. I may have, when I was 11 years old, I didn't have the strength, right? I didn't have the wherewithal, but now I'm a 50-year-old man and I'm not that same scared kid anymore. So I'm not going anywhere. I got you, and when they decide to trust you enough that what you're saying is real and you're not going anywhere, they start to kind of let up a little bit and let you run the show. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like where I'm at, is that, I can have conversations with these voices, right? And go back in time and have conversations. I'll give you a quick example. There was this memory that I had that there was 2 houses down from mine. There was a birthday party going on, and I think I was about 6 years old or something like that. So I went to this birthday party, and they were doing this game that the kids were like sitting on balloons and popping them. That was the game for some reason, and I was afraid of that because I was a scared little kid all the time. I was always afraid of everything, and so I didn't want to do it. I was afraid of the sound. I was afraid of the whole shebang, and this guy kind of like laughed at me. The father of the person whose birthday was started laughing at me and making fun of me in front of the other kids, right? And it sounds innocuous. It sounds like it's one of those things that's like, it's not that big of a deal, right? But I was crying and I was like, and so I always remembered that. And that's where the memory stops. Everyone's laughing at me and that's where it kind of stops. It doesn't go anywhere else. But with IFS, I decided, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back into that room. Okay. So I went back and I was just observing. I was just looking at myself crying, whatever. And I just said, hey, dude, come here. Let's go in the other room. Right. And I brought him in the other room and I was like, listen, man, like, it's okay. Like, you're kind of brought up, like, you're afraid of everything because that's kind of like the environment. You know what I mean? You were kind of like timid, right? So it makes sense that you'd be afraid of that. It's all good. And then I was like, I kind of joked with him a little bit. I was like, you want me to go kick his ass? I'll kick this kid's ass for you, And it got him to laugh a little bit, right? But then I was like, listen, I mean, how sad is this guy, right? I was like, this dude is like making fun of a 6-year-old in front of a bunch of people and getting a kick out of that. Like, how sad is that guy, right? That he feels like that's where he gets his power, and making fun of a kid at a birthday party. Like, that's pretty sad, dude, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so then I went back into the room with him, after we kind of talked about it, and I just kind of observed him, like watching, and he was looking at this guy with empathy, right? Now he's like, he feels bad for this guy, right? He goes from being this scared little kid to being like, kind of like this little 6-year-old with the knowledge of a 50-year-old man, going like, man, that's fucking sad, dude. That's so sad. Right? So now when I go back and think about this memory, I don't think about myself crying in the corner and all that. I think about that. I go right to this kid that has this knowledge, and
that's incredible.
It's cool, right? It's really cool stuff, and you can really you can change a lot of your past, how you associate with your past by doing that, right? And I did a lot of that with the traumas that happened to me and stuff like that, because I wasn't given the teeth I needed to stand up for myself then, And a lot of people aren't, or they're taking advantage of somebody that is much stronger of a presence in their life. They're very powerful, and they, you got to forgive yourself at some point for you were only capable of doing what you could have done in that moment. You know what I mean?
And Tim, I mean, you're hitting on some great shit. I'll be honest with you, because what just like what I've been exposed to recently with like coaching and stuff, especially with males in particular, it's very hard for them to explore their emotions. It's very hard for them to go back and explore past traumas. And it sounds like what has helped heal you or begin the healing process is to go back and explore, to forgive yourself for any kind of almost resentment either you had towards yourself or maybe to even others, if you had that as well, in order for you to let go of that past, as that I'm assuming it was probably hurting your future, right? And maybe some relationships that you were having as well. Definitely.
Great point. I found that I was having a hard time trusting people. When I was in a relationship, I would just want to run. I had all these fears of being intimate with people, like when I was younger, didn't know why, you know what I mean? And, the thing that really helped me was using that fear of, do I want to be 10, 15, 20 years older carrying this shit around with me? No, I don't. Right. So when I was talking with my therapist, there were moments where I was so afraid to bring something to the surface because I was afraid of the answer of it. I was afraid of what it meant. I had this rage inside of me. You know what I mean? And everyone.
What was it from?
From being picked on and being like all this stuff and just everything. Everyone has this primal scream in them. Every human, we all, because being human is it's tough sometimes. It's not easy. This shit isn't easy. You know what I mean? Right?
It's true.
So
it's true.
And everyone is struggling in different ways. So there's not just one scream in you. There's many screams, right? And tapping into those in a healthy way is. It's like
we lost him.
Essential.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
it's only
this is such a solid.
I think I lost you guys.
It's 50 minutes. I am like zoned into the fucking screen.
Me too. I know, dude. I'm like trying to look at the time, but like he's super captivating, isn't he?
Yeah, I find myself like leaning closer and closer.
I know. I'm like in the fucking mic. I know. I turned my
this
phone
is amazing.
off too. Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah,
where were we? He was talking about
his primal scream, like where he has he has a primal. Yeah. Everyone has a primal scream in him, and even more than one.
And I don't mean to hog the questions or anything. So, do you have like one fire?
Nope, take them.
No, I don't have one ready in the chamber, but I didn't know if you had one.
No, yeah, I was going to ask him real quick. So what, you're 26. The name was mentioned. You know, all these things came back. You know, what was the next step for you? When did you realize you needed help, and when did you get that? You know, that was what I was going to ask him next.
Okay. Yeah.
So I feel like we're not, we're not there yet. You know.
Yeah. Let me turn my phone on in case he's.
Yeah, go see. I
bet you his iPad died.
Probably.
Dude, this is a great discussion, though, man.
It really is, man.
Because we're talking about some serious shit, but the way he's presenting it, it's like confident. He's confident being vulnerable. I should say that.
Yeah. Super nice guy, man. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, unreal, dude. Yeah, I'm assuming I bet you his iPad died.
Seemed like it was like sudden that he went down.
Oh
so.
Yeah. How's your day, man?
It's good. A little busy today.
Yeah.
A little busy today. Yeah. Like, some shit popped up for work, so I was kind of running around for a little bit. Then we had dog trainer come over this afternoon for a couple of the dogs, so we had that. Got to get that done, then get the girls, and then it was just like the day. That was it. So
I know, dude.
Shit got a little busy, so I'm definitely gonna look at that shit. I'll write that bio up. We'll go have it tomorrow.
Worries, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited to get it done though. I think we should probably do maybe like try to find a way to do like not a formal headshot, but like something that's like not just on the screen.
Yeah. Because I was looking at like some of the YouTube stuff, and I'm like, but maybe something like cool, like a cool pose between us or something like that, or we could even do it like right now. Maybe it wouldn't be too bad. What do you think?
Adam, do you think we should be like together?
Probably,
like, Is that weird? But like, we probably should though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it had to be like some sort of cool pose.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You can think something pretty funny.
Yeah.
Not funny, but cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think we do that, and then I think we have a mean bio. I mean, fuck, we just start shooting some shit out there to maybe some people that we want to talk to.
Yeah.
Let me text him. He's probably, what the fuck happened? I will say this though, it is definitely like I'm still in the zone. But don't you find like when you come off the zone, you're just fucking beat?
Yeah, for sure. Like when we're done with this, it's gonna be like, holy fuck.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like gonna start to come down. Oh yeah.
This is really good though. This is like, I can't believe how fast that went by right there.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
I've been genuinely looking forward to this podcast too for quite some time.
Yeah, man, this is fucking great. This is great. How much more, like from our questions do you want to, I know we want to hit all of them, but like we got to also keep the time somewhat mindful here. So, so like, how did Tim craft the mindset of, hey, something doesn't work, fuck it, at least I tried?
Which he kind of touched on. Do you think we should scrap that?
Yeah, probably.
And he's talking about right now, I think maybe because he talked about recognizing at like 26 that he needed to go get help. Kind of like, should we go into that a little deeper? Like you were saying?
That's what I say. Well, I think we round that out. We finish that to get us to where he is now. And then I think then we round out the first half of it by saying, so how has talking about your trauma impacted others' lives?
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like, so like, because we talked about that kind of in the beginning. You know what I mean?
And I think
like,
with your question, when you're going to talk about like, hey, what made you? Cause it seemed like there were some dark days that led you before. Like even maybe have them talk about like what was the darkest days? Like was it? What were you thinking about suicide? Paint that picture, because I think a lot of people
that's super important.
And then once he opens up about that, where were we going? Because you're just hitting on a great point.
Yeah. So I think we just bring that full circle with what his time frame, and then circle back to the beginning of how has talking about his trauma impacted others' lives.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we just wrap it up after that, because I think he's hit everything for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you know, he hit his past, and when he reestablished a new mindset, you know, like his childhood, teenage years, stuff like that, what happened, and kind of how that classroom analogy is fucking incredible.
Yeah, dude,
how he can is like picking different voices to talk to. That's fucking amazing.
I do definitely want to ask him like that question. If you could offer advice to anyone that has experienced the same trauma, what advice would you give them? And I did kind of, he's really close with his wife. So I did kind of want to say something along the lines of like, you know, unfortunately I haven't been able to meet Blythe in person, but the way that you talk about her, you know, it's glowing. Can you just talk to me about how the love that you have with your wife has helped maybe heal the trauma, or, you know, you put in the work every day to reprogram your brain from that or something? I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Now, do you want that to be your last question? Like your go home question?
I think the go home question will be the advice one.
Okay.
His phone must have died too, man, because I texted him and I haven't gotten anything.
Was he using his phone, or was he using his laptop or his tablet?
He was supposed to be using his iPad.
Oh, okay.
Hey, dude, not sure what happened. Oh, shit.
Do you want to call him real quick?
I say, oh, shit, can you get back in? I'll try to get back on.
All right, cool. You should be able to. The invite's like forever, so.
Okay. Can you email another link?
Yeah.
Do you need his email address again?
Well, I'm going to remove him and then resend it because it's there.
Okay.
I'll just remove it real quick. Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah. Yep. I just texted you, but it's E.
I got it right here.
Okay.
Oh, all right. You should have it. He probably deleted it.
So you're going to have to jog his memory because I fucking...
No, you're good.
Okay. That's a lot of time we're going to have to remove.
That's all good. It was at 50 minutes, so that's fine.
Okay. Good looks.
Now we know we have time to... I didn't want to stop recording, though, just in case anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean...
We have the time, so...
Yeah.
We have, like, what, I think 5 hours a month or something like that, so...
And, dude, do I owe you for, like...
it hasn't come out again, so I don't know.
Okay.
Probably... I don't know. It'll probably come out soon, I'm guessing. I haven't even noticed it.
I'll fire
it's
it
fine.
over.
Yeah, it's fine.
Come on, Tim. God damn. I feel like it's always something when we have guests on. It's always something always happens. April and a fucking dog.
You know what would have been cool here,
connection.
man? You know what would have been fucking cool with this one?
Yeah.
Is if we set it up where we were talking in a shop and we recorded it as like a group.
Yeah. Can we do that? Like, can we record me and you like at maybe your gains layer one time?
Yeah.
Like, do you think we could set it up to where that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
I think so.
Maybe we try the next one. We do that. Yeah, see how it looks and sounds.
We'll kind of together and then kind of we could practice it with one of our own for sure.
Yeah,
that'd be fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it would be. Come on, Tim.
Did he say you got it?
I told him you sent it. I said, okay, just sent. Fuck. Daddy needs to go to sleep at 9:30.
Good luck. Fucking Mallory, man. Ever since I said that thing to you.
Oh, dude, yeah, you really fucked yourself.
She's a fucking monster. She's a monster.
How was last night?
Terrible. She's up like 6 times.
Oh my God.
Fucking
How do you
terrible.
keep your cool? How do you keep your cool? I mean, you kind of
because she's easy to put down.
Yeah.
You keep your cool. If she fought us going back down, it would be a pain. But
Yeah.
she's generally like, you just got to bring her back in a bit. But it just fucks up your entire night's sleep.
Yeah.
Fucks it up. Although the sauna and cold tub combo balanced that out.
Really?
Yeah, because my sleep sucked last night, but my recovery was in the green.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I officially put that sauna on my birthday / Christmas list.
There you go, baby.
That's right.
There you go.
So hopefully John Ciccone pulls through. Tim's saying, so I can see you. He can see me? You can see me? Is there anybody, like, I see Model Mindset. I see 3 at the very top. Do you see that? Where it says the Model Mindset, and then next to that is 3?
Yep.
Do you have to, like, click something and let him back in or something?
No, I don't think so.
He said, I can see you.
Should we stop recording and just try it? And then just
try to join back in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why can't it stop?
He can hear us. So he can hear us, but he can't see us? That's so weird. Okay, Tim, since you can hear us, we're going to get out of it and come back in.
All right.
I'm going to get